Sehr geehrte Damen und Herren, ich freue mich ausdrücklich, heute bei uns als Ehrengast begrüßen zu dürfen den frisch gewählten Präsidenten von Rumänien. Lieber Herr Präsident, sehr geehrter Herr Klaus Johannes, es ist wunderbar, dass Sie kurz nach Ihrer
only briefly after your successful re-election at the end of November in Romania, as the President, you have now come here to join us for the off-site meeting of the CSU parliamentary group here at Kloster Sion. We're very happy to have your okay to come here, even last year. Even before the election was going on, we very much hoped back then that you would actually come out as a successful president from these elections. The results were very positive during the elections, the presidential elections in Romania, which is strongly related to the fact that you have a great deal of acceptance in Romania because you are the one to fight against corruption and mismanagement. And you want to steer Romania, and you kept Romania on a clearly pro-European course. We clearly appreciate that because, of course, we want to have good relations with our neighbors in Central and Eastern Europe, because you're also a nucleus of European unification, and you play a very special role in the future way ahead of Europe. So we find economic cooperation with Romania is very important to us. You also had some talks to the Bavarian cabinet today, and again there the close economic ties play a major role, the close economic ties between Bavaria and Romania, that is. And as far as we're concerned, you already received, you will receive a great honor this year, i.e. the Charlemagne Prize of the city of Aachen, in recognition of your personal efforts, of your actions in Romania, which also have a great impact here in Germany. So I'm looking forward to discussing matters with you. We share the same interests in keeping Europe together, in coherence. We share the same interests when talking about the funding requirements in Europe, so as to make sure Europe can develop positively, because we all are going to benefit from that, and that is why it's so important for us to strengthen economic ties with you. Thank you very much for coming here, for being here with us. Following that, we're also going to meet for a discussion with the colleagues from the CSU parliamentary group. Thank you very much, Alexander Dobrindt, as the chair of the CSU parliamentary group in the federal parliament. Thank you very much for your invitation to the off-site meeting of the CSU. I'm very happy to be able to be here. And you already mentioned the re-election. Actually, this is my first visit abroad after the re-election, and I believe this already tells you something about the relations between not just Romania and Bavaria, but in particular about the special character of those relations. It's very good relations, very special relations, that of course are based on the economy, but of course there's also another connection, because we have Romanians that live in Bavaria, and we've also got a German minority living in Romania. I believe we're going to have an opportunity today to discuss a whole series of subjects, specifically European subjects, that are of import to all of us. And I'm clearly excited to hear your questions from your colleagues in the parliamentary group. Two things. Let me mention two things that are really noteworthy. Romania in 2019 held the EU presidency, and surprisingly enough, we actually were able to bring about very good results, part of which was also owed to the good support from Germany, and that is why I would like to thank you here and now. And in the second half of this year, Germany is going to hold the EU presidency, so I'm looking forward to a good cooperation with you then, especially with regard to the large issues that will have to be solved. We've got more than enough of those. And we actually have proposed quite similar proposals or suggestions for solutions. That's a very good sign. So I'm looking forward to having the discussions with you. Thank you very much for the invitation. So would you allow some questions from the press? Yes, of course. If there are any questions. Questions. Over to you. A German question. What are the opportunities for a common migration policy? That's a very difficult subject, and you know we have a wide range of opinions within the European Union on that. It's a subject that was very important during our Romanian EU presidency. We were able to take some steps, good steps ahead, whether or not we're going to have a common migration policy is something we don't know. At least that is my wish. And perhaps we can bring this about in the second half of this year. Mr. President, right now, people are talking a great deal about security policy outside Europe, like Iran-Iraq crisis. So what is your take on that? How far should Europe develop in order to be an important player there? That's a very important subject. European foreign policy is very important. Let me make one comment on Iran. That's a very complicated development that we've been observing here. And even if some people in Europe tend to think that geographically speaking, Iran and Iraq are far away, but basically they are next door. And that is why this should be of great concern to us, and I can only hope. And I'm also going to tell all the interested parties that we are able to bring about a de-escalation, because right now everything is pointing toward escalation, which is a bad thing to happen for all those involved and also for us within the European Union. It's also bad for us. So I hope for a quiet and wise approach to bring about a solution. This should be in all our interests. As far as EU foreign policy is concerned, you actually brought up one subject that I'm greatly interested in. The European Union is a very strong European economic zone. We are the largest economic zone in the world. But if we compare our economic muscle to our foreign policy power, we realize quickly that our foreign policy voice is a rather subdued one in comparison to our economic power. And I believe we really have to work a great deal on that in order to become stronger here. The European Union right now, as far as I'm concerned, is by far not as relevant in terms of foreign policy as it should be and as it could be. So I believe there's a great deal to catch up on for us. And the current crisis in the Middle East should actually provide us with an opportunity to close ranks and to then speak up with a stronger voice. I got another question on Iran-Iraq. What is your take on the German troops that will have to be relocated there? What is your take on that? Is that the right decision? Yes, it is the right decision to redeploy German troops now away from Iraq. And we actually watched what was going on in the wake of the decision of the American president. And of course, we are keenly interested in continuing the fight against ISIS. But of course, the mandate in Iraq very much depends on the readiness of the Iraqi people to support this and to request this from us. So that means the Iraqi government right now actually has a rather is very much opposed to having this kind of help. But of course, let me reiterate, this is a process that needs to be reassessed every single day. You cannot really tell what will happen in terms of decisions during the next few hours and days. But we will have to respond to that, and at least we are greatly interested in making sure that Iraq will not be destabilized further, because our commitment to training the security forces in Iraq actually was meant to stabilize the situation in the country, especially in the fight against ISIS. And you will have to find out and see how this is going to develop further in the next few days. And the President just pointed out that there's also a risk of escalation. It's like a spiral, really, and that is why everybody's called upon to actively work in a de-escalatory fashion in this region. So we have to reassess the situation every single day.
Dacă îmi permiteți, domnule președinte, îmi cer scuze, adresez întrebarea în limba română, un follow-up la situația din Orientul Mijlociu. Există vreo implicație pentru România, având în specială alta decât pentru Uniunea Europeană, în condițiile în care România are un parteneriat strategic cu Statele Unite și găzduim și scutul de la DVSL-ul? Aveți o îngrijorare particulară în urma acestei situații?
Parteneriatul strategic cu Statele Unite este solid și funcționează foarte bine, iar scutul de la DVSL este o parte a sistemului defensiv NATO și este foarte bine că funcționează optimal. Aici nu văd niciun fel de probleme, însă trebuie să fim realiști. Situația din Irak ne privește, fiindcă noi avem foarte mulți cetățeni români care trăiesc și muncesc în zona Orientului Mijlociu. Avem oameni și în Irak, avem oameni și în alte țări din zonă, știți foarte bine. Avem reprezentanțe și în acest sens sunt o serie de cetățeni români expuși în zonă. Ne preocupă și vom lua toate măsurile pentru a fi un sprijin real dacă este nevoie. Pe de altă parte, avem și noi militari în Irak, staționați, care fac parte din forțele NATO care participă în diferite proiecte de pregătire, sunt instructori care sunt din partea noastră acolo și, evident, siguranța lor ne preocupă. O parte dintre militarii noștri au fost deja relocați. Deci, tema este foarte importantă pentru noi. Eu personal îi acord foarte multă atenție. Sunt în contact permanent cu guvernul care și în special cu miniștrii care se ocupă de aceste chestiuni, în speță externele și apărarea. Și sunt convins că singura soluție pentru această criză care a apărut, nu putem să-i spunem altfel, este o abordare calmă, diplomatică, o deescalare, cum se numește, și revenirea la un calm în această zonă. Auf Deutsch etwa, was sie auch sagt.
Okay. Hatte ich mir schon fast gedacht. Der Tonfall war der ähnliche.
Domnule președinte, care sunt prioritățile României pe agenda europeană la începutul acestui an, priorități pe care urmează să le prezentați și în cadrul acestei reuniuni?
Da. Voi avea o prezentare peste câteva minute și sigur voi insista pe anumite chestiuni care sunt importante pentru noi. Pentru România, Uniunea Europeană trebuie să devină mai puternică, mai coezivă, mai unită și pentru asta ne vom implica. Pe de altă parte, sunt teme foarte concrete care trebuie abordate, fiindcă ele sunt acum de actualitate, cum este cadrul financiar multianual, cum este încă Brexitul, cum este politica de migrație, despre care a fost o întrebare adineauri. Toate aceste chestiuni reprezintă priorități pentru noi și sunt foarte hotărât și guvernul României este foarte hotărât să se implice total pentru a găsi împreună cu ceilalți din Uniunea Europeană soluții la toate aceste probleme. Noi am avut în prima parte a anului 2019 președinția Consiliului Uniunii. Am avut câteva rezultate notabile și am subliniat că sprijinul primit din partea reprezentanților germani a fost foarte important și esențial în unele soluții și îmi doresc să continuăm această foarte bună colaborare în a doua parte a anului curent, când Germania va avea președinția Consiliului Uniunii.
Bitte schön.
Mr. President, with regard to the Iran, there was an agreement between Germany, France and UK. You, as a representative of an Eastern European, would you actually want to see a greater orientation toward the states in Eastern Europe? Because you're saying the EU must actually have greater coherence. You sometimes feel left out? I believe we have to really work on these problems together. At some point, hopefully, we're going to have a solid European global policy. And then we all need to be involved. Well, traditionally speaking, the large states, of course, are stronger when it comes to foreign policy. And they, of course, also have a greater interest in those hotbeds of tension. But of course that does not necessarily mean that we cannot be involved in bringing about solutions. And if we really want to have a strong European foreign policy, then it's got to be a foreign policy that is pursued by all of us, because otherwise we're going to fall back into a foreign policy situation like now, with every state pursuing its own foreign policy, which right now, of course, is in line with what was agreed on in Europe. Well, this is a joint European foreign policy, something that I most certainly would like to see and that I wish for. Okay, thank you very much. We'll be happy to see you continuing to report from our off-site meeting. Now we're going to meet for a discussion with the parliamentary group, and then we're going to be back with the press conference with Annegret Kramp-Karrenbauer, our Federal Minister of Defense.